Welcome to Show Studio. It's our last live panel discussion of the day, and it's a really interesting show to be talking about, and it's one that we've never done before as well, so I'm really excited to be talking about HBA A. I'm also really excited because I've got a really good set of panellists, a nice friendly set of panellists who are all chums as well, which is good because it means that you'll hopefully be very comfortable. Set you up to fail now. But I'll let you guys introduce yourselves to kick things off, starting with you, Tremaine.
My name's Tremaine, and I work for Marc Jacobs.
My name's Carri Munden. I'm a designer, art director and a stylist.
I'm Daryoush Haj-Najafi. I'm a writer and lecturer.
Cool. So I want to start by asking, I guess, a simple question, but it might be a little bit complex actually because it's one that kind of puts you on the spot. But what's so great about what Shane Oliver does at HBA A? Why has it sort of been so successful? Why has it exploded? What makes it good?
I think, you know, I was working at Vice, and you know, although the label's been going since 2008, basically A$AP Rocky, you know, at one point everything he wore we would you know, die. You know, we'd like have to write 1,000 words about, you know. So you've got so I think that really pushed it and made it straight away something that every kind of teenage male fashion fan in the world knew what it was.
So you think it's tied to those kind of like the new style icons, that kind of thing that came along where everyone wanted to emulate people like A$AP or those kind of cool...
Yeah, I think, I mean, you have to recognise that that's really important for any brand. I think it always has been in the States, but I think it is globally now. That celebrity association, and especially with musicians.
But it doesn't feel as simplistic as celebrity associations. I don't know, there's something about these kind of brands and their relationships with those guys that feels a lot more authentic. It feels like they're kind of more like...
Definitely, yeah. It's not like that old sort of celebrity placement kind of thing. It's definitely authentic.
Well,
okay.
No, go ahead. No, you know what? With Shane and HBA A, and I put the champagne down for this.
I have a point to make. I'll put down the
champagne. He's like, in my opinion, he's gonna be the last, as far as in fashion and the culture thing that he's doing, where something's filtered over like probably over 10 years to this point. Because now, because of like you know, like Matt said I watched Matt's thing, and he said there's no more subculture because of the internet.
Yeah.
Even though the internet's great, we all love it, but that's one of you know, it's a catch-22 to everything. There's no more subculture because it's instant, you know. And Shane's probably gonna be one of the last ones, you know, where like, or something what they did felt it took so, you know, he's been around for so long, just live like involved, you know, like I remember throwing a birthday party 2006, like 2008. Chelsea Hotel, renting a suite for my ex, and like him and Mickey show up, and like just the way he was dressed, like it harkened back to something you never. It was like futuristic, but like it went back to something, and like I just feel like it's impossible for kids to do that now, and the kids will do something else great.
But do you think people from that, like the Mickey Banker types as well? Do you think they're the real last?
It's the end of it because you know, like I can speak for myself. It's not about me, but you know, like me, I sat in Union, the store, every day after work or before work or days off, and hanging out with Ricky and Wilkins and Vito and these guys, and I was just soaking it in. And then there's things that from just sitting there every day, and that I experienced, and things like through osmosis, cultural osmosis, led me to some of the things I do now. It's not, you know, there's no plan. And that's the same thing happened for Shane, you know, hanging out in Harlem or coming downtown, going to the parties he went to, being involved in things, you know. And then on a social level, like, not to just keep going and going, Shane is so important because it's like, you know, as like you talk about gender and you talk about sexuality, for him as a black male, like people might not know, when you see HBA A, he had to fight to be himself in New York, late 90s, 2000s. Things aren't like they are now. People are still ignorant. But New York City, and you know, you're living in Harlem or anywhere, even downtown, and you come around the wrong group of guys at 2 in the morning, and you're trying to be yourself. You're literally putting yourself in danger to be yourself. And that's what Shane and his whole group of people, to some of the things they went through to be who they are. So honestly, it could almost bring a tear to my eye to see how well it's doing. Like I remember being in London 2 years ago, and you know, open ceremony, you know, they had the HBA shirts I went and got one, and I went and got it. I liked it, but I got it out of like posterity. Like this is amazing, you know. So yeah, I think HBA A is incredible for a lot of reasons beyond the clothing or A$AP Rocky. A$AP Rocky's dope. He's cool. Rocky's a cool dude, and it's cool that he wore it. But Shane's his own man, and you know, Rocky learned from him.
Yeah. And
Rocky will tell you that. And Rocky, you know, like he's like Shane's a forefather in the style thing and culture thing, and you know, he's amazing. And yeah, it's just I'm really happy for him. But that's
so
what I think about it.
I feel like we're done now. That's what I read.
So I didn't mean to suggest that.
No.
You're right. It does because you know, and you're right, and like the A$AP connection came about because two of the gang were his lookbook models back in 2008. So it's almost like he created.
It's really authentic.
But
he, it's not a celebrity endorsement. It's that they're mates.
Yeah, they're mates. Yeah.
And I think that you're sorry.
No, go.
I think that you're both right, and that's what makes HBA S so strong. Is in you know, there's fans, there's an audience that maybe does only know HBA. You have to be honest, that probably does know it just through A$AP Rocky
totally.
And Bin Trill collaborations or whatever. I think there may be like loose Kanye connections or whatever. So, but then there's other audience that's been with Shane for a long time and that really understands it maybe on a different level, and is maybe
it's connected to the beauty of New York because New York, you know, I went there in 2012 to go and work. And I was like going crazy. I was like, they're not talking about HBA. What the hell is wrong with these people? I was like, if this was London, if this was ID, if this was Dazed and Confused, people would be going mental about how great HBA was. And you know, and they weren't talking about it. And you know, and Milk Studios had all these designers on their schedule, and they didn't have HBA on there. And I was just like, this is mental. This is crazy. And it's all the bits of New York that are great and fantastic, and that you want to buy into, and that are missing.
And it's that's another thing I left out. I'm happy you said that. Thank you. It's one of the last bastions of New York culture, because New York is, you know, and I don't want to be one of these old heads that's like, oh, I miss the old New York and all this stuff. Like, New York is still a great place, but like HBA like kind of is like, it's like the Statue of Liberty in a way to me, because it's just like, and that's why it meant so much when I saw the opening ceremony and I was able to get it in London, and because it brought me back home, because New York is so depleted culturally because it's been spread out and so gentrified, and like, you know, like there's no New York sound. Like, what does New York music sound like? Well, what is anything that's in New York? But that's in New York.
When I spoke to like Kevin, because they've got photographer Kevin Amato who works with them, beautiful guy, and I went to do this interview for Dazed and Confused, and I walked into this room and I just went, fuck, I'm back in the right place. And I remembered exactly why I liked fashion. I was like, fucking love fashion. And him and
I love that. Fucking love fashion.
him and Prince, who's like Nicola's assistant, they both had their tops off. And
you know Prince?
Yeah. And they both were just like sat round with their tops off, like 6-packs out, and they're just like,
it sounds like that's fashion.
And they were like, yeah, we're gonna do this shoe. And I was just like, this is such the right place. And then, you know, Kevin was talking. I was like, hey, I don't want to go to fucking Westgate to go out. You know, where do people go? And he's like, I go out in the Bronx. I go out. You know, I go to Church Avenue. I go to, you know, I go to like past Bed-Stuy. You know, and it's like that's and so that's what. Yeah, it just feels really real.
Would like around, I guess it was 2008. I went out to New York and did a show with my brand. And the reason I did that was because of a stylist called Jason Farrer that I was working with, and he convinced me to come out to London, and he was working with HBA right from the beginning, and Telfar and Gurene and a lot of those New York brands I discovered through him. And I actually felt way more of an affinity with them than with London designers.
Why was that? Just because of that kind of authenticity that we were talking about?
Yeah, because of their connection to like subculture and to street culture, but also to music, and then the futurism, internet, all the things that I was referencing. It was like, so, but I found like like you were saying, like no one was talking about HBA and you were frustrated by that. I saw that they were frustrated as well because they didn't have a platform yet to show, like we do in London.
Yeah.
And like no, they were so off radar then, you know. So I'm really excited to see that that's
perversely,
happening now.
that's been some of their strength. I know now it's great to see them in this forum, but do you think the fact that they could kind of stay out of that for a while? Do you think that's so that now actually in hindsight been quite...
Yeah. And
well,
it's evolved as a brand, but I would definitely say that about Shane, and that's what I love about him, is that it's a culture, it's a world. It's like it's authentic, and he's connected to an authentic subculture for like Ghetto Gothic that he did with Venus and all of that. So it's like, it's beyond just a brand, and that needed to evolve. You know,
and doing Ghetto Gothic was like, you know, now people take the piss out of it and they're like, oh, I'm bored of trap and I'm bored of this, but in 2011, going into a club in New York that you actually thought was any good.
Good luck.
And you know, and then to go, and I remember just being like, wow, I literally want to have sex with every single person in here. And like, there's a green-haired lesbian with like 15 really hot boys behind her DJing, and it was just like, you know, when you were saying earlier, when you're really happy to be in a fashion show, and this club, you were like, I am in the absolute right place on earth right now.
No, but I agree, no offense to New York, but whenever I went out in New York from like an early age, I never had a good time. I never got it.
It's hurt.
And I only started having a good time at Ghetto Gothic, or like through my friend Ezra Kingdom and parties that he was doing. And like, I think, but then I think all of those scenes have a real link to London as well.
And then those kids were some of the only, you know, holding the standard for like culture, night culture in New York, when it was being like demolished by like the bottle clubs. And I'm not knocking that. That was the whole thing. And plenty of nights I was there at Butter, all those clubs, standing on couches too. But they're the only ones, like, you know, that really doing something left, but in the city, and kind of trying to keep doing their best to keep.
Not like a Brooklyn warehouse party. It was something. I like
in
that
the
it was
city,
in the
like
city.
You got to go out. Like you're going out for this party, and they're the only ones doing it, and it all spawned out of that, you know. Like, and I remember my friend that brought me into that world was her name's Tigger, good friend, you know, a good friend of Shane, and like she put me on to all that, and it's special, man. And that's what I'm saying. When every time I see HBA, I see that, and it's like, okay, that's, you know, it has that emotional connection.
That's quite a rare thing. I think we talk about it when we're talking about HBA as if it's kind of something natural, because it is really authentic to the brand that they have that kind of. People have that emotional connection to it, but actually in the context of Fashion Week, and for me, sitting here doing lots of different panels for lots of different brands, that's quite a rare thing. You know, people rarely talk about having a real emotional connection to a brand anymore. That's
you have to with menswear. Men's, you know, I've said it before, but it's like Heady. You know, we were all in love with him. We all wanted to be Heady approved, you know, and all my, like, you know. He used to send you little packages in the post, or big packages. Remember this package this big coming, and it was a perfume bottle. You know.
I really want us to just take a screen grab of that. It's like
but it wasn't because I was a journalist. It was because I was one of the sorry, sounds conceited, but it was because I was one of the gang, right? And it's the same with them. And like Shane said, you know, HBA isn't Shane Oliver. It's also like that guy with the amazing, what's that guy with the amazing massive hair called? Like he's got like long black hair. He's a stylist. And it's Kevin. And it's like, it's a crew, you know.
But that's very different in women's fashion. It's all about the individual in women's fashion, I think. So I think that's a good point that you make. Do you think about that, Carri, as well, this idea, especially as a designer, do you think about, you know, you need that from people, you need people that have an emotional connection, you need kind of that idea of a tribe? We've talked about that before.
And that's what I've always said, that's what I get excited about designers. I feel kind of wary of designers that are changing each season. And I personally have kind of been able to work like that. I feel like it should be a continuing aesthetic, and it should be kind of really tribal and like have your own world. And that's exactly what Shane does.
But this is what Tremaine was saying. Is that possible anymore because of things like the internet and this idea that, you know, everyone has to be an individual?
I wanted to challenge you on that. I don't think they're the last.
That's good.
I don't believe that they're the last. I think it's really exciting, and it's a really exciting time for New York and globally.
It happened in that way.
But yeah, you know, the internet has definitely changed things and changed like youth culture, but like the internet was around when this was evolving, and actually it was a really important part of their evolution.
No, I know, but I'll give you an example. Like, let's say,
Yeah, I did get what you meant though. There's no physical connection sometimes.
Yeah,
people are like cultures are building over the internet, but it's not like going to a place and hanging out and making those.
I give you an example. Let's say a kid sends me a message direct message on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram. It's like, I want to send you some clothing, or I want to be your intern, just because they see me doing a party with a certain person, or whatever they perceive my life is like. I'm just a regular working dude, and I'm into what I'm into, you know?
So you think there's less reality now?
So whereas if that kid didn't have the internet, that kid's got to live in his world and really meet Tremaine. And if him and Tremaine meet, it's because he lived a certain life, and he made certain choices, and life took him on a certain trip and got to that point where now it's just you see it and you're like, oh, well, I want to do a party like Tremaine does, so I'm going to send him a message. And where that kid shouldn't be sending me a message, that kid should be figuring it out.
Yeah, building his own thing.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he, you know, like
do you think
he should be using the internet to build his own thing instead of trying to get to where I'm at, because I don't even know where I'm at. I'm just me, but I know this right here, just as a man, 12 years since I turned 20. I'm 32 now. Just being involved in things I like to do.
So you're saying things are too accessible.
Yeah. People try and jump stuff. Do you think it's easier to be kind of fake now and not have to go through that process of development where you meet like-minded people through geography or through...
This is what's interesting, sorry, because it's really, I think, a pertinent point. What's really interesting about Shane, about Nazir, about Telfar, is that these aren't overnight success stories.
No, completely.
And that's why they stand out, because they actually have all really struggled financially. And they're not just somebody that have jumped straight out of fashion school, straight into a sponsorship, and then they're doing the same old thing as everybody else. They've actually really struggled, they've had wobbles, they've gone bankrupt, to build something. And that's why it's good.
Yeah,
it's not instant.
That's a good thing to bring up, the struggle,
That's maybe what makes it more authentic.
And then, like I said, I'm not knocking the internet, but like, you're gonna have a kid that wakes up, sees this panel, or looks on Hypebeast or something, or whatever, Style.com, sees the hood by ear, and then they dress like it. And that's fine. That's what it is right now. I'm not knocking that. But Shane, I've seen Shane, I remember 2001, Common's album, Electric Circus came out, and it was the party at SOBs, and he was there with Tigger, and they were kind of Afrocentric out, Like he was on a different, but it wasn't a different vibe. That was his progression. I remember seeing him wearing starter jackets with acid wash jeans and like big old school sneakers, like we, went through the things. People aren't going through the.
People are just kind of adopting it,
I think
it.
And then he finally found that the vibe that was him. Not saying that stuff wasn't him. He just evolved, and then, that's.
But I don't think kids have the opportunity to do that. I think they just grab things each season and.
When we did that punk discussion,
I keep thinking about that now because everything we're talking about.
But I think I was talking about Tumblr, and I think Tumblr is a really interesting metaphor because, there's almost like a Tumblr identity now of imagery that's being shared on the internet. But Tumblr as a platform, it's like you put images up with no reference to where they've come from, and you create this identity. And it's I think
that represents you.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what young people do, I think, in real life as well. They're putting together this,
they don't know the heritage
together, but
but
there's no connection to anything real into that culture.
But that's good and bad, because I was talking about Tumblr hip hop before. There was this article in Complex about how people think they're into bands, but they just looked at them and put their pictures on their thing, and they think that they're actually into that group, and that they're. But it's also a good thing, because it means that. You can market anything by visuals, and it's making this really amazing, mixed up new world where any strong visuals are exciting. So
that's so damaging for fashion, because if you think fashion, well, maybe it's not damaging. It's brilliant visually, but if you think fashion, I think maybe you will disagree with me. It has to be based in some way on craft and technique and talent, and when everything is so visual, it seems now to have a great brand or be a great designer, you just need to create something that has an immediate visual impact, which could be literally a t-shirt, which basically does mean that anyone can be a designer, because it just means if you can rustle up a good graphic or something striking. And that's kind of what scares me a little bit with fashion, because it has a place, what you're saying, definitely. But then I think it scares me for that craft and that kind of technique and the touch by hand element that you always need in fashion, because that doesn't have that kind of immediate.
But there's room for everybody.
And you're 100% right. And that just lends to the fact that I feel like innately fashion's kind of vain, and people are into it. So only something that's kind of has a strong thing, it's kind of vain, where people it can prosper by just a visual. Where let's say no one could sell a book just because the cover looks great.
Yeah.
It has, because that's the nature of literature. It has to like be great, and it's not about vanity. It's about learning and all this stuff. Where fashion is kind of, I'm not knocking it. Obviously, I'm here on this panel. I'm in the fashion, but it has that level of shallowness, and that's why people can get over like that.
And do we think that's getting worse? Because you're saying it's a good thing and a bad thing.
Yeah, no, I was just really excited. I'm really excited about the idea. Like, you know, we were doing street style photographs on my old website, and I hated them because I knew this. I was like, this is bullshit. Like, we do do's and don'ts anyway. Why are we doing street style photographs? And they were like, you know, it'll be really popular, da 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 da. And it was boring. And then I was just like, well, I'm going to do selfies. We didn't know they were called selfies at the time, right? And I was just like, everybody's putting their own street style on the internet. And it's really exciting that you don't even need clothes. You can, you know, it used to be that the only way of communicating for the average person was their clothes. Now you can communicate through the fonts you use, through the pictures you do. It's amazing. It's like art for everybody.
I do think
that
the young people do have like a really high aesthetic intelligence these days, and like I probably shouldn't say this being on the panel, but I'm not very good at speaking, and I'm a very visual person, so I'm really excited by this like new kind of visual language, and like even as a designer, I've done collections that there weren't any clothes; it was completely virtual and like visual. But I don't think it's something that fashion should be threatened. I think that you are going to have real clothes, and you wear them, so you do have that physical connection with them. So like the materials that they're made of, you know, then it takes it to the other level.
Yeah, and believe me, there's something strange going on in London. Like there's a new look, and nobody's doing, like none of the normal people are doing it.
Like there's a new look.
No, but there's a new look.
There's a new look out here.
There's a new look, and it's come off the internet, and it's all these kids that I've met on the internet. And I'm seeing it in the clubs, and I'm taking pictures of it, and it's great, you know, and it's really exciting. Fashion's never gonna stop. Like Chairman Mao tried to kill fashion. It's not gonna be killed.
You just went in, Chairman Mao tried.
You'll get some great sound bites coming out here. We talked a lot about the attitude of HBA Air, but not that much about the aesthetic, which I want to a little bit just before we go to the show, just for the sake of some of our viewers who perhaps wouldn't be as aware of the brand as we all are. So just talk, because you mentioned before, and I think it was a really astute point about just even things such as like gender and sexuality, that really comes through in the aesthetic of the brand. I think the different things that Shane looks at and is interested by. Let's talk a bit about the shapes and the styles that we see. Everyone's looking really scared now.
No,
you're like, why are you trying
Can we have something up here to talk about?
No, it's great.
Should we watch? Do you want to watch the video?
Or just
No, I think it's possible.
It's fine.
I think it's like, the thing is, you know, Dan Forley, for instance, you know, that he came on, he was amazing, right? Paris journalist, and he was like, I don't get HBA Air, Daryoush. It just all looks like t-shirts, and I think that that's a terrible stereotype that people have of the brand, because he does, you know, he did a bag collab. It was super expensive, really highly crafted bags. He's doing denim now. Yeah, there's a lot of shorts and t-shirts and baggy silhouettes, but he's also doing weird things with lace. He's doing weird things with sexuality.
And that's why, if someone thinks it's only t-shirts, it just shows their limitations. And I'm not knocking the person who said that, because that's
actually really nice.
He's awesome. It's just I used him because he's Paris. He's Paris.
Yeah, like, you know, even me, you might see me with a HBA t-shirt, but because of I'm stuck in the rut. I am just being, you know, a man. You know, you're into your classics or whatever, and then you go a little far with. Shane is out there. Like he's like the edge is the start, the finish. The edge is the start line for him. So the lace stuff and all that stuff, I'm not wearing it. But not because it's not amazing or beautiful, but because those are my limitations as a man, and where I come from, the social constructs that I can't get out of, right? So it's just like, so that's why most people are gonna gravitate to the t-shirts, because they're not ready to go to edge with Shane. So that's my whole thing.
But even like, yeah, there's a lot of shorts and t-shirts, but the t-shirts themselves are made of different fabrics. Like he's taking like sportswear shapes, but he's subverting them. using, and there's lots of like technical details and stuff.
But New York is raw as well. Like he said that, you know, they got away with their style because they were, people just literally thought they were crazy. And I mean, I kind of know what he means, because I used to live on Ridley Road like 15 years ago, and it was the same defense. Like I'd walk home at 3 in the morning and it would be like, anybody walking down Ridley Road at 3 in the morning is crazy. And back then. But also when you're walking around New York, you know, what I found really inspiring was that there's this sort of idea that, you know, you go to be gay and you get a flat in Covent Garden and you kind of live like this middle class lifestyle. And in New York, there's loads and loads of ghetto gays. Like, and they had Fashion's Big Night Out or whatever. And I got on the tube, and the tubes were just full.
You your Fashion's Big Night Out action again. You went Fashion's Big Night Out. Like
and they got on the I got on the tube or the metro, whatever it's called in America, subway. And you know, there was people just going miles and miles, like a whole heap of very camp gays who live in super far out, you know, like places that nobody's ever been to. And I remember, like, I was living on Stuyvesant Avenue, and Stuyvesant Avenue is kind of gentrifying, right? But you only see Stuyvesant, thank you.
You just made it more British by making it longer.
But it's like, it's kind of gentrifying, but it's really weird. So the white people get on the train at the time to get the train, like to get to work, and then the rest of the time it's just like totally black. And I saw a guy in Speedos getting on the train. Like, you know, like, it's because it's like, it's super, I don't know. And then, you know, you go to the beach in...
Do you think he refined that? Do you think Shane refined that? Because, you know, that's, I mean, this is my take on it, I could be wrong. But, you know, like, you know, especially for minority men who are homosexual, because just with minorities is a huge thing, machismo. So then,
of course.
So then, minority men who are homosexual, they're so subjugated that they got to go find places like the West Village or the Village or the Piers to try to be themselves. But then that persona kind of blows out because they had to be so afraid to be who they are, which is totally fine. In the places they grew up, that's supposed to be safe and home and family. And then he kind of refined that whole thing through fashion. You know what I mean? That whole like, it goes so wild and it's amazing, and then he kind of refined it through this line.
And like you said, like there's like a bravery, there's a fearlessness in it, because you have to be to like dress like that, and you know, he does dress like that day by day. But I feel like you do see it more in London now, but I feel like New York, because it had like the whole ballroom scene, and I don't know, for me, I feel like.
And he's keeping that alive.
Like,
you know,
black,
like
gay, working class culture was
not
kind
to tick
of...
off the boxes in this panel, but even like Paris is Burning, like he's keeping that alive. Like even when we're watching that show back, that's like he's keeping that whole thing alive.
You know, when you go to the beach in New York, like, what's that beach called? The one...
Jones?
The one...
Or Rockaway.
The Rockaway, right?
Yeah.
So you go to Rockaway and everybody's there and it's really hot. And then, you know, you reading the people... In England, you would not expect a guy to be walking down the beach in a white thong, you know? And it's because it is New York, and because it is the capital of the universe, it is like, you know what, we've seen it all before. So it is a rough place, but it's also kind of like, you know, there is this seen it all beforeness, so there's these extraordinary, rough kind of gays that just exist because it's the capital of the universe, and if that makes sense, you know, in kind of because everybody's seen everything, so it's not like, oh, there's that crazy homosexual, we're gonna kill him, you know, it's like everybody's seen.
No,
everything.
you're 100% right, because even real quick, I know we gotta get the show, but for example, my dad, he grew up in a real small town, Harlem, Georgia, 2 hours from Atlanta, and he said there was this one dude dressed like Prince, and he was gay, but everyone knew he was gay, but no one talked about it, and he was, you know, but he was ostracized, but wasn't, because everyone's nice in the South, whatever, right? So, but then fast forward to his 30s, and he has his little son Tremaine, so that was a whole big thing, right? And it shouldn't be. Fast forward, we're in Central Park, my dad's dude that works with my dad comes up, he's on rollerblades or something with his partner, and my dad's just like, oh, that's his boyfriend when they leave. And there was nothing to explain to me, because it shouldn't be a conversation. And it's just that's that dude's guy, just like, your mom's my girl. Whereas he came from a thing where that's such a big thing, and that's probably the beauty of New York. Because these things aren't a big thing.
That leads on to what I wanted to say. I feel like HBA A is kind of like post-sexuality. It's like post-race, post-gender, and it's like it's not even a discussion.
Yeah.
Well, he talks about whatever, right?
Does he?
Yeah, he's got a philosophy of it's like of exactly what you've said, but he calls it like whatever. It's just like, yeah, if you want, you can have your whatever your sexuality. You can be, you know, a really hood gay guy, but you might want to wear a camisole.
Okay.
And that shouldn't be a problem.
He did wear a camisole on an interview that was on Hypebeast.
Yeah,
I loved reading all
for it, didn't he?
Verbally.
I mean on the comments.
Verbally, yeah, I love reading the comments. I mean, it's my favourite thing, reading Hypebeast comments. Anyway, but like, oh my God, that's what I mean. It's like about having those two different audiences for HBA A. It's like there might be guys that are really into this brand and have no idea that Shane is actually gay.
What was best was all the you know, I used to have a thing that we used to think streetwear guys are weird anyway, because they're all checking each other's gear out. It's like, hey, check your gear out, and it's a bit like there's some weird shit going on. But on those comments, streetwear guys, because they're always checking each other's clothes out, right? But on those comments, what's really weird is a lot of guys are calling him sus, which I had to Google because I'd never heard the term. And
it's homophobic as hell.
Yeah, but it means that it's sus as in, maybe he's hiding it. They know so little about it.
No, but that's my thing about the internet. And I'm not, again, I love the internet. I'm on my phone all the time. And I get reamed by friends, like, get off your phone, get off Instagram. But these people couldn't comment on culture because they were not a part of it. But now people can have a portal to cultures that they don't even need to or have a want to be involved in. So it's just like, people post something Shane, and then they just blurt something out. But you're not even a part of this, so how can you comment? It's like,
but it's a great education.
You know what I mean? Here's an example, like, people who aren't into sports aren't on ESPN leaving horrible comments about that play. Yeah, that's really no one's on there because you're into sports, so you go to ESPN or you go to whatever site you go to, or New York Times Sports, whatever, and you check in on how your football team, your basketball team's doing, the new jerseys, whatever's going on. Whereas with like this culture stuff, fashion, art, music, for some reason, all these people are tuned in who not really a part of it, and then they have all these comments about it. Like, who are you? You can't even sit at the table.
And I question if it is a great education, because they don't have to educate themselves to be able to say something. It's not like you have to read the article properly to comment. It's
and they're doing it to get their own fame, their own kind of status. Yeah, it's really easy. Probably if they met him in real life, they'd be like...
They wouldn't say nothing. They'd do a selfie with him.
Yeah.
Right? They probably would.
Let's watch the show. Because I feel like we could go forever. This is so interesting. I'm conscious that we may run out of champagne.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. It gets more interesting after every glass. Everybody knows.
It's good that we left the collection until now. This screen is not on, by the way. Thanks, Liam. Yeah, it's on now. Sorry. We've got images as well, but we can go to this first. Is it going to be super tiny? Oh, it's got bigger. Ignore me. Sorry.
I could have made a funny joke.
There was a screen on a screen on a screen.
Sorry, Nick.
Okay. It's meta.
First bad joke of the
Dad joke.
What's your take so far, Daryoush?
Wow, it's amazing music, right? Sorry.
It's a real soundscape.
The clothes are very developed.
Sounds like a gremlin.
Imagine it would be quite intimidating being there as well, which is quite, you know those shows where you feel a little bit uncomfortable? It's always really amazing.
Yeah.
I always go back to that one show, maybe 2 seasons ago with Boy Child.
Yeah.
Everyone's just walking, and he just stops and does that whole performance art. Still,
And
I mean
that was haunting. Like, it was,
that to me is an amazing fashion designer. You know, Carri, I always loved because she introduced people to the culture, and HBA introduced Boy Child to the culture. You know?
Yeah. It's that family thing again, isn't it? That tribal thing.
Boy Child's amazing.
It's funny, there's touches of that wide trouser, tiny top that's everywhere, isn't
yeah.
it?
Obviously the trouser's not this, like the one that came before, that slight flare, it's that kind of awkwardness, you know, that really kind of uncomfortable, it's almost a bit perverse. But I think he does that really well.
I think one of the things as well is the casting. American casting is often awful because it's so bland, and their casting, you know, is just really spot on.
Yeah, from day one he's always had the hottest boys and the hottest girls, but especially the hottest boys.
The hottest boys.
I think also they look really comfortable, which I know sounds like a really, really mundane point to make, but especially when he's done events, like when he did that thing at Selfridges, all the boys that were wearing his stuff, they look like they just like kind of wandered in wearing it, like, and it sounds really boring, but that when you watch so many shows, actually it's quite rare to see models that look really cool in what they're wearing.
He's happy to be a part of it, you know what I mean?
And that's about the casting.
Happy to be a part of it.
They look right.
He's really chilled out backstage though, because I went backstage at that Selfridges thing. I mean, he was the most laid back, you know, and the atmosphere was almost like a party.
Yeah, and he's no hype. Like, I don't even know if he came to the after party we did. Like, Shane's just, you know, just whatever.
Yeah. You don't think he's seduced by the kind of glamour of fashion? Right?
He's just been around, like, been around it.
You know, and I think that sort of the fact that he's done a denim line, I mean, I think he wants to go the whole way, you know?
So, see, I don't know, is that a girl or a boy that they're hot?
It's kind of thing where like it doesn't really matter, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I love that. Like,
I really like the hair as well. It's quite sort of like Native American.
Yeah.
And another thing that's great is it's not contrived. Like, he's not like, oh, I'm trying to do all this stuff with gender and other. It just comes from how he lived.
Yeah, it's authentic.
He's not trying to do like social experiments on a catwalk to prove something.
It doesn't feel like, oh, we're putting a girl in, is it a boy? We're putting a boy in, is it a girl? Like, but I find it really interesting. I think a designer does that so well in London.
That's interesting.
Astrid Anderson, you know, with the guys with the long hair and stuff. Like, and it feels really authentic when she does it as well.
I've never seen him do anything like that before.
Is it knit or is it?
It looks like it.
It looks like a
knit, but it looks like it's zippers. No?
Yeah, it looks like metal. It's zippers. We've got pictures, so we can look closely. Liam, can you turn it down just like a little bit?
I like that about his clothes. Often it can really evolve. Like, looks like it's going to transform.
Studying and stuff.
Wow.
Amazing music.
Yeah.
I feel like you're going to jump up in a minute and start dancing.
And then
I don't like this music.
You'll disconnect
No, I
your
was
microphone.
wowing at the jumper. I'm not wowing at Beyonce.
No, but it was a particularly euphoric
you know,
version of Beyonce.
But there's a kind of a funny irony to it, you know, it's just like...
Well, you know, if she wants to hang out, I'll be glad to, but...
sure, she's glad to know that.
You just got a new follower.
Hey, you know, I like Halo and Broken Hearted Girl, but yeah, like... Anyways. But I don't like the rest of it. I'm not a beyond gay.
But are we all liking what we're seeing
Yeah.
here? We seem to be kind of excited by it.
There's a good balance of like, I do think that Shane's graphics are really strong and prints and like that graphic identity, and I love all the kind of branding and kind of what is. But I think there's really some unusual shapes.
Yeah.
He's really challenged himself. Sorry, what were you going to say?
No, I mean, it's just another thing we didn't bring up is just HBA is just a great name.
Yeah, I was thinking that when I saw
it's just cryptic. It's cryptic.
When I saw the letters,
it's cryptic as hell. What does it mean? You know?
Yeah, yeah.
It's just great.
But it's really iconic.
I've found free explanations for the name online.
Oh, really? Are you going to tell us?
No, I can't remember, but I mean, it's alwaod sort of hood and
or that
art,
he said, or someone
basically.
else. Yeah.
That he said. He's given free explanations.
Yeah.
They're quite different.
Okay.
But it's always hood and art, basically.
We've talked a lot about the kind of the concepts behind this and all the creativity, but also I think it is worth saying just in terms of like clothes that will shift and will sell. There's an amazing array of products on here, like those bags are incredible, loads of the shapes that we've seen are really, really great, and that is nice to see because as much as you want what you were saying, Tremaine, that kind of like people that really identify with it and love it and get it, you want them to keep buying it, but it's nice to see it spread and grow, and you look at this and this feels like this is going to get even more stockists, it's going to sort of fit into the kind of wardrobes of the guys that like that you are. You know, you say you want to get the t-shirt, and it's not going to scare guys. They're going to want to involve themselves in it, which is really great.
But there's always so many levels to his collections. There's always a kind of very easy, and then.
But I mean, obviously he's really big in Asia.
Yeah.
And like, and Asian males have always had like, you know, like strong style, and I think it's exciting now that in America, like. Males and like straight males as well are like really challenging themselves with what they wear. And
one thing I want to ask is, do we think, we've talked a lot about gender and we've talked a lot about sexuality on this, but one thing that confuses me is fashion is still always shown in a kind of menswear and women's wear. Would we like to see it get to a point where it's not, you know, designers just put out a collection that symbolises their kind of view for that season? Because also there's so many conversations about the pace of fashion, how it can't continue, way too many collections, blah, blah, blah. But would we rather see it shown in a slightly more unisex way? Because it does seem quite strange to see everything split into boys and girls, so it's such a divided way.
I don't know if you could do that entirely, but I mean, it makes sense to me, because I think we talked about that in the Louis Vuitton session. It's the way that I dress, and I think a lot of people do. And I mean, Shane shows on both seasons, and shows like the same collection, similar collection.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
No, completely.
With the way that people dress.
Because there's quite, when I was at the men's show, especially with the more kind of conservative press, or not the more traditional like magazine press, if there are girls on a menswear runway, they'll literally like, they'll go from either being kind of disparaging, like, what a waste of our time, to just kind of like, not really being bothered by it, but just completely looking away, like it's not part of what they're there to see. And I always find that quite strange. Do you think?
I remember Lulu saying when she did Fashion Eastman that she loved saying that, and she was really encouraging of that, of seeing like women on the catwalk doing men's.
Yeah.
And like, yeah. And even when I was doing my brand and I was saying that it's I didn't ever want to say unisex or whatever, but like people were really confused by it. I understand, because there's you know, there's menswear bias, there's women's wear bias, there's a whole industry that's
you go to any website, it's men's, women's.
So it's like, I don't think that structure is ever going to change, but I think it's good for some things to be challenging it.
Yeah, I think
because everything is changing. Like, you know, seasons are not really even relevant.
No, and I think, you know, everyone's kind of accepting of that seasons aren't relevant anymore, but no one's really accepting the fact that men's and women's isn't relevant anymore. But then, if you look at the way girls dress, I think maybe less so for guys still, but like, I know most women buy menswear. Like, it's not just like cool girls that like dressing in menswear. Like, most women have menswear.
Yeah, as a designer, I feel really like actually intimidated by fashion women's wear kind of audience, because it's really like targeted to like making cocktail dresses for the red carpet and that kind of like world. And there's like,
I like the crop top.
And there's like a whole huge spectrum of, you know, of like women's wear that just.
It's kind of, it's prickly, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's a really good look.
Those kind of crop tops, though, we saw that a bit.
You're all about stomach showing.
Yeah.
I'm getting that.
It's because I've never had you know, you always want what you haven't got.
I like to see? I like a little belly on a man. I'd like to see a crop top with a little softness.
A little Homer Simpson.
Yeah. Well, no, not that far, but just a little softness. I'm not really into a six-pack.
I'm really impressed by this collection. I think it's really, really great.
It's gone a lot darker, this segment.
I think for me it just feels...
And there's touches of tailoring as well.
Yeah, it feels like he's kind of really expanding what he's offering in a really exciting way, but one that still feels really authentic.
Well, you know, one of the other things that I think that's so important is that, you know, with the New York thing, it's like
Killed it.
it's like, you know, I grew up in the era of New York fashion labels, you know, Ralph Lauren, Calvin Klein, DKNY, and it was advertising that lifestyle around the world. And it was always obvious to me that somebody was going to do it again. And, you know, and apart from kind of Supreme, nobody was.
I think you're right. You know, I was saying that like young designers didn't have a platform in New York, but equally that it was just so far removed from the fashion world, like street culture and youth culture, club culture. Whereas London has always had that. Ever since like the early days, that's been like our strength and like all young designers. And in fact, on the way here, I was thinking about this, and I was thinking of the connection to like Shane's connection to like London designers and like say myself or like Gareth Pugh. And actually seeing this, I can see quite a big connection to like, Gareth Pugh.
That fierce.
That's interesting, this idea of selling a lifestyle. That's kind of gone out of the way a little bit. You're right, Gareth kind of did that club.
He was like, he was really connected to, and like that futurism and like really challenging shapes and like.
Oh my god, this looks amazing.
Wow.
I just want to be friends with these people. They just seem really great.
Yeah, but you do. That's
I might be significantly happier if I had them all in my life.
It's like the future race.
You're turning into a man. Because that's how men buy into fashion. I think quite a lot.
Yeah, that's
they want to be friends with them. They don't want to be.
Yeah, you ladies, you know, you want to be like Cinderella, and we want to like.
Oh
be
my
their
god,
man.
that is so sexist. That
But you brought that up earlier. What'd you say? Like, you need that to sell men's fashion because part of most men are just trying to either lead the pack or find out what the pack is.
What you said about
what
you said about streetwear is very much about expressing yourself, but also it's like it's an ego thing. It's like
which team are you on?
A one-upmanship as well that you don't really get in women's fashion so much, you know.
But I think men's fashion, I think it's so exciting at the moment how like much you see kind of streetwear coming in, and how much you see peacocking, because it is like that thing of kind of. I think menswear's got even more competitive than women's wear. That idea of kind of dressing and the one-upmanship, you know, that's such a part of women's wear and the kind of street style thing of like, look at me, I look better than you, like girls dressing for other girls, that whole man repeller thing. But then I think it's more so in menswear now. That real kind of, I've got the best trainers, I've got the best this. And I kind of think it's kind of exciting, but
competition,
But we talked about this, saying that women do it now, and women dress for other women.
Yeah.
Whereas, do you think before they dressed for men? So that's kind of.
Sorry. Oops.
But you know what you were saying about really wanting
I should not be a waitress.
What you were saying about really wanting to be their friend, I mean, you know, that definitely grabbed me. And essentially, my whole kind of fashion journalism career has been about going, oh, wow, I really want to be part of their world, you know, and I think that that's a really valid thing that you said then. I think, you know, you do want to be their friend, you do want to buy into their products, you do want to.
But then that's that tribal thing again.
Yeah, exactly.
It's belonging.
That's what it all is. Tribes. Tribes. I have a friend. Whenever he does an email intro, he says, "Tremaine, you two should link up in London. We're all the same tribe." And that's what it comes to. Like, you know, do you want to be a part of this tribe or not? And that's men's fashion.
People keep looking for subcultures, and subcultures are dead. It's tribes. You know, there's no subculture because there's nothing.
No secrets anymore.
Well, there's nothing to rebel against. Nobody thinks because of their haircut that the government's going to fall.
Well, in this country.
But
I think that's why I get like frustrated when people say that like, oh, youth culture's over, subculture's are over. It's like we're talking about like New York, we're talking about London. It's like this stuff like happening that we don't even know about. Like hopefully somewhere in the world.
That's true. But tribes, you don't need to change the world. You can just find people like you, and
you can just be.
Be happy.
Yeah.
Try to find some happiness.
I know I called you sexy, but I do actually agree with you what you're saying about the women's wear thing. That mentality of like, oh, I love that because I want to be friends with that girl. It's so missing. It's so kind of every woman for herself when it comes to fashion. There's not that desire to kind of dress to emulate your friends. And I know it's a completely different style to this, but I think that's why everyone got so obsessed with that French Vogue look, you know, Emmanuel Oles and all her little gang, like they dress the same and they all wear like those skinny jeans because it was so tribal, and they all looked like they had the same mentality, and they got shot always together, and I think that's why everyone got so obsessed with that aesthetic, because it felt like a gang, and it's the only. And I thought that was quite interesting. Actually, it's the only thing in women's wear you've seen that.
That's amazing.
Is that a girl?
That's really
or
good.
That's
it's
just
fucking incredible, that jacket, isn't it?
With it's incredible.
Is that zip? I really want to see the. We'll have to flip.
This
through
is
the
an
pictures.
amazing collection. It's so big as well.
I think it's really.
So many ideas.
It's really adept as well. If you look at the techniques that's gone into it, it looks really, really great. It'll silence the "it's only t-shirts" gang.
Yeah.
Those, I mean, that whole zip thing. So you can just. It's amazing.
Is it zip so it kind of looks like it hooks an eye? It's hook and eyes on that. We'll have to look at pictures.
I don't know how I'm going to get my hair like that though.
Really easy. Just plunk it.
Have you just been thinking that for the whole panel? Just like mulling over, how am I going to do that? I'm halfway there. Carri and I combine, and we're ready
You can
to
have
go.
some.
Imagine how good it would be to be at that show as
Oh,
well.
I know.
It
I'm
would be
really.
incredible.
It's pulling on my heartstrings right now. I need to be there.
Amazing.
That music.
And then you could just imagine the energy backstage.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
oh man.
A girl from our office, Marie Sheila, she's our head of fashion film. She's gone out to like film it all and chat to them. I was like, best job ever. I'm so jealous of her because she's just like hanging out with the whole team before and after the show, and she's like filming them in the run up to the show. We just put an interview she did with Shane on the site, and she's just literally filming it all.
Oh, she filmed that?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, she's gonna have the best time. I'm so jealous.
That was amazing. Did you see that?
Yeah. They all just look so comfortable.
I mean, this is a real like.
That's what I'm saying.
I am
This
incredible.
is
like,
just
so
taking up
long.
all the like the staunchness out of fashion. Like these people seem so comfortable, you know.
This is completely different, but I went to, the Club to Catwalk exhibition at the V&A, and they've got all that footage of 80 shows, and it's stuff like Jesper Conrad, like not stuff that's kind of like you'd expect to be mad. And that's how all the models are. They kind of dance down the runway, and they kind of talk to the photographers, have a little groove around, and it's so fun. It's amazing. Did you just pull the phone off the hook? And this kind of reminds me of that. It's not that straight up and down kind of. There's such that energy and that passion.
Yeah, you need that energy. It needs to be. Well, it's not really a performance, but it gives it it's like.
Oh.
I felt like that would slip.
I felt like the morning.
God, it's like the end of the nightclub.
No, it was amazing. The lights came on the screen at the same time.
Oh my God, this is really
Brutal.
What's going to happen?
That was literally like the end of a nightclub. They're like, get out.
That's the saddest moment, right? When those lights come on and the music stops.
No, and then you're like,
That's so
what must I
painful.
look like?
You're dancing to the fan.
Yeah, painful, man.
Wow.
But I feel like
Oh my God, this is amazing.
is this a walkout, or have they taken all their tops off?
I think this is the bridge. But this is ingenious because obviously he's doing a denim now. So to showcase it in this way.
Oh my God, this is amazing.
Wow, it's an epic show.
This is
Levels.
totally epic.
Levels.
I love the way they came out. It's almost threatening.
Yeah.
Oh my. Shane's just having the time of his life, isn't he?
This
It's
is
like
incredible.
Killing it.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for some weave to go flying.
And it's just like, I'm the king of New York. There you go.
Ownership.
Yeah. I own everything.
I want to be there so much. I feel like this is my mothership calling me.
That's exactly like catwalk shows are dead. To me,
Yeah.
I think it's you've got to have something like that that's an experience. You want to be there.
Yeah, and it goes back to what you were saying right at the start, Tremaine. It's like if you were there, you'd feel like you were part of a gang. You feel like it was something special to be there, and not just special because you've got a ticket because you're fashion press.
Yeah.
Special because you're involved in it and you feel.
But it's not just a gang. It's not just about being part of a gang. It's being part of a. It's been relevant. It's being part of something that is obviously changing shit. It's not just an elitist thing. It's about being part of a gang that's going to change fashion, change New York's identity. You know, that's what everybody wants.
I want to shake my hair like that.
So do we think this is going to be, we think HBA A is a big game changer. We think this is something really important that's happening. It's not just about fashion, it's more
Yeah. Come on. Yeah, definitely. Totally. Yeah,
And there were some great clothes. There were some great clothes.
Yeah.
Really amazing jackets.
It's just, honestly, this is just like, it's emotional because it's just, I've seen these guys grind for a long time. So to be in London on a panel talking about this, something that started out as a thought, and like the way that it's just nuts. It's amazing.
Well, yeah. And it's like, you know, when eventually they do bring out the, you know, CK1, it'll be sort of Hood by Air, you know, perfume, and you know, you can imagine that 1 million kids would go out and buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, you know, when people say, oh, it's all about a brand, and it's, I mean, there are amazing clothes, but get real, so much of fashion is about brands as well.
Yeah.
And I don't think we should be so cynical about brands as well. So, like branding, I think, can be really commercial and really kind of nasty and competitive, but there's an element of a brand when it is something quite pure, that it's something that you love and you buy into and you're committed to. There's something quite magical about that. You know, like a guy that always gets his socks from the same place, or like a girl that always uses the same shampoo.
Like me, like I'm the type of dude, when I touch down, one of the first things I do, I touch down JFK, go to the city, and I check in my hotel, I see my parents, and one of the things in my trajectory is go to Century 21 and get my Ralph Lauren boxes, no matter what.
But I love
you know what I mean?
I
you know, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, I could be
that,
wearing Cat Van, this, that, whatever. I'm always gonna wear Ralph Lauren. That's because I don't. It's not about. It's more than about quality or stuff. It's just
it's
be connected to that brand. You know.
No, there is something really great.
And I think I got scared that there's a generation that, like, you're talking about building an identity with no references, but also people got really good at branding themselves, and like, but building a brand for no reason, you know, and like, but then Shane he understands how to build a powerful brand, but he can back it up because he's got skills and he's got, you know, an authentic world.
I think what's interesting as well, I was speaking to Venus, who was Shane's partner with Ghetto Gothic, and she said, you know, Ghetto Gothic actually came from a slightly sort of intellectual background. They were actually doing talks, I guess, like lectures on a really low level, but they were just, and it was that I can't remember why they were doing them, and then they realised they could make a club out of it.
Yeah.
So
Didn't they all go to the same school? Like Venus and Mickey, they went to like...
There's some gay high school, right?
I don't know.
No, but there's a gay high school in New York.
I don't know, but I thought it was like a college or something.
You talk
But
about
like,
in like Long Island City.
According to
The art school,
Style.com, Shane went to a gay high school.
it was like an art school, but they were really like, it was very intellectual, and I don't know, I got that impression.
LaGuardia? Talking about LaGuardia?
No.
Don't know.
So like Khalees and all, like everyone.
Because there is a gay high school in New York, isn't there?
Yeah, there is, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, like if you're
Think so.
damaged, like if you're, you know, you're like, especially for
Damaged?
like transgender people, like who are gonna get this shit.
So when you
kicked
can be
out.
safe.
Yeah. But I don't know, I've interviewed him and he never talked to me about a gay high school, so, but it's
No,
Style.com,
I don't think
so
it was a
I'm
high
reckoning
school.
it's
It was
true.
like, I think they went to college.
That's
I
what
know
Thomas
that Mickey
Edison.
and Venus, I think, went to college together. I don't know, but I wonder. But I know that, yeah, they're all super intelligent, and that's what I mean. It's like they know all their references. They're on point.
But that's the thing. They go back to internet, like whatever, right? They know their references. So you talk, oh Mickey, oh Shane, oh Venus. Like I said, I could talk about a party or a birthday party I threw 5-7 years ago. They're all there, but they weren't like, oh, we're trying to build this brand.
Yeah.
We're trying to brand ourselves and create this thing. But now kids are doing that. Kids are like hanging out with people they think that they can build a brand or build
like
an image,
curating their lives rather than
creating
living
their
it,
lives.
yeah.
I was having a very interesting talk
Your
with
passion should create your lives, you know?
I was having a very interesting talk with JJ Noki about this, about people, you know, about putting out, coming up with the ideas, and you know, and having a reason for having these ideas, and you know, and it's not just picking. And I said, well, you know, people will always pick and take your ideas and make money out of them because that's what people do. But, you know, you're the kind of, you know, I was talking about myself and him, but, you know, like, it's like our type of having fun is to just come up with ideas, and that's a reward in itself. And I think that, you know, I think that somebody like Shane, he's not just set out to be successful. He's set out to do something new, and that's different. And it's amazing that he's become successful. But I think when you guys are sort of sad about people on the internet, I think that's what you're saying, is that some of these people they've got no agenda, which is boring. You know,
you need someone that wants to make something happen or change something.
Yeah. Sometimes I do a lot of like teaching and workshop and stuff, and like I don't like working with grown-ups, like kids and teenagers, but I get disappointed sometimes when I'm showing them my work, and it's like the thing that they connect to is when they see like Little Wayne wearing my stuff, or like or whatever like that, and then when they ask me questions, they're like, oh, how did you meet Rihanna, or how do you do this, and it's like, I'm like, what? or like, how do you get to this? They can't see this. They can't see that I just was doing something and I wanted to do it, and see, like, I wasn't thinking about.
And that's the key right there, what you're saying, and that's the problem. And like people ask me, like, you know, my handle, NY Famous, what does that mean? That means about bringing celebrity back to regular people. So when I was growing up, and I'm still growing up, Shane, Tigger, Ferris Bueller, Joey Lopez, whoever, all these people I knew around in the city, my friends from my old neighborhood in Jamaica, Queens, Farmers Boulevard, Nigel, all those guys, those are my celebrities. So when if I was playing basketball at Chelsea Piers and saw Leonardo DiCaprio, it was like, whatever, nice jump shot. Like, these are my real celebrities. Where you know, like, so that's what turned me on. If I saw Tigger wearing something that I was into, damn, I should buy that. Whereas now you're doing a talk, and these kids don't get turned on until they see Lil Wayne wearing that, where they don't understand. That's like the last frontier when he wears it. No disrespect to Lil Wayne, but that's the last frontier. The beginning is when, like, you know, like,
you're having that drive to,
if
like,
Maxine wears it or somebody like that, and then you're like,
and that's
you
what
know,
inspires you, the people around you, and
because he's wearing it because the stylist threw it to him, or he saw something on the internet or whatever, or maybe not, but that's the whole thing, you know. It's just like, that's the whole thing, like, you know, like real celebrity, not media celebrities, real celebrities in their neighborhoods and in their tribes.
Well, you know, New York is also, you know, I mean, I find the sort of area around Soho just awful. You know, like the kind of, you know, just
Soho
like
here or Soho New York?
In New York, because New York is really the home of the kind of...
Retweet that one. Daryoush said he just finds the area of Soho in New York awful.
But it is, because it's just, New York is really known for that kind of hipster, like totally agendaless hipster.
Yeah.
Like totally like bought into, like, it's like there's just no... there's nothing coming from there. That's why I'm really excited about certain sort of people that seem to be rising at the moment, because they've got something to sell out, you know? They're actually, of course they will sell out, but they've got something to sell out.
They're not just trying to sell out from the start.
Yeah. I mean, you know, that's fine if that's your thing, but you're not you know, just, that's fine. You know, we need people that are ambitious business people. That's fine. But it's like when they push out, when it's pushed out all the other conversation, then that's a shame. You know,
yeah, it's got ugly. You know, perfect example. Like, you look at the whole Pharrell at the Grammys, right? And Hypebeast writing articles about, like, his hat. It shouldn't even be a big deal. Like, catch up. You know, that shouldn't even be a conversation. That's what you're saying, the agendaless hipster, something to talk about. Like, that's not a big thing. He wore a hat. But then it's just like, we gotta make it this big thing. And you got people cracking jokes on other people saying, oh, he's not really of that, whatever, when it's just, he just wore a hat.
What hat did he wear?
Westwood.
Buffalo
Because
hat.
you're wearing that for years.
That's what I'm saying. Are you guys, like, are people tuned in or not? You know, and it's just like, don't tune in 10 minutes before the movie ends and then start asking questions. That's just annoying.
I think that's a good note to end on. That's quite a nice
That's just annoying.
message.
Like,
Tune in, kids.
You know, don't wait till, like, right before the credits. And
Stay in school.
You're like, why did the movie end like that? It's like, start in the beginning.
And watch all the credits.
Watch all the credits too.
Look at every credit.
Get past, like, the leading actors. Who held the boomstick?
This is good. I think that's a good encouraging note that people need to be more informed. And I'm a nerd, so I like
knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power. Thank you so much, guys.
Shane is incredible.
Yeah, should we give him a round of applause?
Yeah. An amazing collection.